What is up, BookTube? It is Monty, and today I'm here to review The Gravity Vest by Phil Stamper. Full disclosure here, I read The Gravity Vest last September, and I have not gone in to reread it in preparation for this video. You can say that's whatever kind of whatever. It is what it is. If you don't know, The Gravity Vest is set in a near future / alternative timeline where NASA is gearing up to go to Mars. And we follow our main character, Cal, who's sort of social media famous. He has a pretty sizable following on this, so I think it's called like Flash or something. It's a stupid name. But he's sort of social media famous for his news reporting that he does in New York City. His life is then turned upside down when his father, who is just like a commercial airline pilot, gets picked to be one of the last members on the crew that's going to go to Mars. And as a result, he has to move to Texas, to where, you know, the great astronauts of the 60s lived. And his life is sort of upended, not only because he's moving to Texas, but NASA has partnered with a like reality television station, kind of like an E, but it has a stupid name. And they have the exclusive rights to the story. So he has like this budding journalist who was like ripped from his, he was gonna have like an internship, I think at like BuzzFeed or something, which is obviously off the table now that he is in Texas, and BuzzFeed, where he was gonna have this internship, was in New York. And he can't really do what he's been doing, which is covering the Mars mission, because now he's part of it and the reality people have the rights to the story. I think that on that level, the story is fine. And even on the romantic aspect, because there is like a love, I think the love story is kind of at the center of the book. Cal finds himself in a relationship with another one of the astronaut kids, who's like a quiet little black boy, whose mother is one of the astronauts, which was cute. I think like the diversity was cute. I think that their relationship was cute. I didn't really ever want them to be together. Like, I didn't feel myself pulled and rooting for them, but for a contemporary romance situation, it was fine, right? Like, it didn't do anything terrible. What I thought the book did really poorly was how it handled Cal's relationship to the reality network and events that unfolded there. I think that the end of this book, what Cal does is just so completely unrealistic, which again, I think that you can do in fiction, but when it's mainly a contemporary story and there's not a lot of like fantastical elements or speculative elements, I think that what you could do that's a little unrealistic, it doesn't work for me. And so what I thought happened at the end of this book was so stupid, I couldn't get on board with it. And I liked Cal when he was being a messy bitch that lived for drama, but it didn't ever click all the way for me. It didn't ever get, and then I think what really ruined it was at the end, the messiest moment again was so unrealistic, and I felt was really a little bit condescending, which is odd because Phil Stamper I don't think is much older than I am. I think he's like mid-30s or something, so it's not like a 40-year-old, not even mid-30s, like, you know, early 30s or whatever. He's not like a 40-year-old person who's writing a bunch of like gay teens that he didn't get to have. Like, sure, he might not have, if he's 30, he didn't have gay teen books when he was growing up or whatever, but at the same time, it's kind of like, it was so, I don't like when YA makes adult characters just seem to be bumbling idiots, and that's kind of what this book does. It kind of makes like the adult characters who aren't the parents, I mean, the parents don't really have anything to do. They're kind of important because of the setting and how the conflict is set up. Like, they're in the story, which is a nice reprieve in general in YA. But the fact that at the end of the book, again, the adult characters are stupid and incompetent, and this plucky 16-year-old has to come in and save the day. And I would recommend that you get it from the library first. I think more people have enjoyed this book since I finished it. So far, I think I'm the only person that hasn't enjoyed The Gravity Vest. But this book just didn't make me feel seen. It didn't really add anything for me personally to the queer conversation. I think that there are definitely better queer books that have been released, that are of a similar length. I don't like contemporaries that are this short. I don't think this even cracks 300. Oh, it does crack 300 pages. The arc of this is 312 pages. I think it should have been 350. I think that there were elements that weren't fleshed out, and I think that maybe with 350 pages, we could have had non-bumbling adult characters at the end of this book. I don't like that, like I said. The relationship was cute, like I said. Cal was a messy bitch that lived for drama. His love interest, like I said, was a quiet, sort of athletic, trying to be the perfect son, black character. Fine. There was nothing offensive about the love interest. I don't remember what his name was, if I'm being honest here. I also think that I was just inherently biased because this was blurred by Karen M. McManus and Becky Albertalli, which are two people that I do not trust to write queer characters. Everyone else seems to really love them. I know they have a lot of support, and there are various people who like their books, but I think that Love, Simon is quite possibly one of the worst books that I've ever read in my entire existence on this planet. Although I do think on Goodreads, I think I have like a 4-star rating or something. Don't like Simon Versus. I think that both gay characters Karen and McManus has tried to write were flops, so there might have been some bias going in there, and I'm sorry that this review isn't more in-depth. I'll leave a link for sure to my Goodreads review, which was written more contemporaneously to me reading it, so there are more specifics there that aren't spoilery. It's totally safe to read if you haven't read the book yet. But I don't think this laid a lasting impression on me. And this was kind of one of the books, I think in the haul that I talked about getting this, I was really excited because even in June of last year, this was a book people were talking about, people were buzzing. And I think that it just kind of flopped. And I think it's a cute enough book for February. There's, like I said, a romantic core to it. There is a black side character. Phil Stamper is a white man. But again, I don't think the black character was inherently... I don't remember now. There's nothing that stands out to me that's terrible about him. So if there was something, I might have mentioned it in the Goodreads review, but at this point, it was probably me just being really petty because I didn't like the book. I think that it was well written. I think that it was, and when I say well written, I don't think it did anything revolutionary or outstanding, but I was able to get through it rather quickly. It was an engaging read, and when I was in the moment, I enjoyed the writing. The only thing I didn't like about the writing were the references to John Mayer. In 2020, in 2019, in 2018, sir, far be it from me to be the critique of pop culture, to offer my 2 cents on any kind of music, because I am not the music bitch, right? But I don't think anyone is really checking for John Mayer like that, and I don't think in 2020 anyone is referencing a John Mayer hat. I don't think it's a thing. Maybe it's a white gay thing. I'm not a white gay. Maybe white gays are still stuck on John Mayer. But for me, John Mayer died in 2010. That's just where it is for me. Like, I'm sorry. Like, who is the reference point for who is using John Mayer? Who? That's what I just wanted to know. That I thought was probably the weakest part of the writing. Again, I don't think I ever really rooted for the romance, but I don't think it was poorly written. I didn't care for it. Like I said, I tend to be hyper critical of black gay characters in literature, even when they're written by black gay people. So I can't be pleased with that. Apparently, this is not something that can speak to me. It's not something that makes me feel seen. So maybe for other people that'll be a thing. It didn't happen for me. But other than the John Mayer thing and the idiot adults at the end, it was dumb. Everything else was fine. I think objectively it's probably closer to a 3-star read, just from objective standards. I personally gave it a 2-star read because I didn't think it was the worst thing I've ever written. I've definitely read worse books. And I think that as far as debut goes, I've definitely read better debuts. Just far better debuts. But I will pick up another book by Phil Stamper. Like, that's pretty much everything I have to say about this book. If the description of the book sounds interesting, it was already on your radar, you're already excited for it, go for it. But it just wasn't for me. And that's fine. That's okay. Not every book has to be for Monty. But I hope that this was at least somewhat informative. Like I said, my Goodreads review was a far more coherent dissection of this, or at least a more timely discussion of it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys again soon in another video. But until then, and until next time, bye.